Hey everybody, welcome to this week's field trip. I'm taking you back to the Pope Ranch. We'll do a few of those down there. I just wanted to introduce the field trip by again talking about re-registration. The portal online for parents and students to go in and re-register for the fall is going to open around February 25th. So this month I'm just messaging it out and you'll start seeing some emails coming out. And it's a pretty simple format. We'll send out some information and you'll be able to click and re-register for the fall. We're looking to have everybody re-register so we can fill out all of our staffing for the fall, and we have a wonderful group of teachers and make sure they're in place for you. And hopefully you've had a really good year. We have some exciting things next year, especially up in the secondary levels. We're going to be adding a lot of new electives. In the middle school and the high school, our career and technical education, or our DCA program in the high school, is going to expand more pathways that help students work towards, while they're in high school, some certifications for employment after high school as an option. I know my daughter used something along those lines out of high school. She earned her CNA, Certified Nurse's Assistant, and she's using that to put herself through college. She's actually making really good money while she's in college doing that. And then in the elementary, wonderful teachers. We've tried to expand more offerings for social engagement, clubs and field trips and assemblies and those types of things. And hopefully we'll get all our field trips back where we meet in different parts of the state in person after COVID next year, and add that element back into the school. But anyway, re-registration's coming. Enjoy this field trip. I believe this field trip's going to be Mrs. Pope again, but she's going to be showing us this graphic design side business she has and this big laser cutter. She's going to etch something into her son's iPod in this video. So enjoy. Okay guys, we're here with Mrs. Pope, who teaches science in the middle school. So some of you know her, but she's going to show us her laser engraving machine and how she does things on that, and kind of a little side business she has going. So we'll be excited to see her show us all her tricks.
Hello, Wyva. So I wanted to share this with you guys because I've shared it when I used to teach in a regular brick and mortar school. The career class would come out here and just see another option as a career choice with graphic design and working with a CO2 laser engraver. So what we have here is a laser engraver.
See how big this is?
We had to cut the walls apart so we could get it in the house, and it's very heavy. And when we went to move it, it landed on my neighbor's foot and about killed him. But this is what it is. The bed, so you lay things in here flat, and this bed will raise and lower. But the bed is 28 inches by about 40 inches. And this will move back and forth on, what do they call it, a cart? And your laser is gonna come out of this piece right here.
Shoot straight down?
Yep, and it'll shoot straight down. So how this works is there are gases inside of a tube, and an electric current is sent through that tube, and there's carbon, hydrogen, helium, and nitrogen in that tube. And the nitrogen particles get really excited and they go to an excited state. And then when they hit with the helium, it emits a light that we can't see with our naked eye, but that light causes the CO2 molecules to release some of their protons as light. Anyway, long story, you get a laser beam that has the power to either kind of softly and, like, I don't know, mark on something, or if you really concentrate that power, it can actually cut through things. So I was showing Dr. Haywood that it can cut out stuff as light as fabric. So I do this for my mother-in-law who loves to quilt. Or I can go all the way up to about 1/4 inch of, I mean, I've cut oak, and that's a pretty dense wood. So that's kind of the range of what you can cut.
What about metal?
So you can't cut through metal, but if it's aluminum, like especially an anodized aluminum, you can mark on that. And we're gonna do an iPod is what I'm gonna do as a demonstration for you today to show you what that does on the back of an iPod. I can't cut metal. And another thing you can do with metal is you can put something called Surmark on it. And it's like a spray on that then fixes to the metal. So if I have like stainless steel, I can put a black Surmark on there and it'll burn it on to where you get the effect where you can mark on metal, but I can't cut metal. So that's kind of interesting. Another thing you can do is if we look at this cup right here, this is metal and it's been painted on, and then the laser went ahead and removed that paint. So the green.
The paint is the green?
Yep, the paint was the green.
Laser, you can feel it etched it into the...
Exactly, yep. So I do some cups and stuff sometimes for various things. Or I can even show you, these are just waiting to be done, but my kids like it when I make them belts. So anyway, I'll like digitally design and paint the belt, and then the laser will go ahead and take that paint off.
So the paint on this is the green?
Yep.
And then you've taken it off.
Yes. So
pretty cool.
We tease my kids that they're the money brothers when they go to the rodeos. So we had to do some dollar signs in there for this year. So.
And then you can do mirrors. Is this
Yes. So my favorite thing to do, and I have fingerprints on this, but sometimes when someone passes away or when they lose an animal or something, it's hard to find that special gift. And I've made millions, it seems like, of different products with my laser, or engraved keychains or this or that. I mean, I can tell you a ton of things that I've done with it, but this is my favorite because I get to take pictures that were special to somebody and create something unique and help them remember that special person in their life. And I do it with dogs and horses and different things like that. So, and it's kind of hard where it is on a mirror. Sometimes I just face it at the ceiling so I can look at it against a white background. But they look really nice, and anyway, they're my favorite thing to do. Over here, I have another one that I did. I just did this one of my boys. So it's kind of fun to take a picture and then you graphically design the picture and then you can put it on the mirror. So I'm sure you guys have seen mirrors where they kind of have a frosty look to them where something's been etched on, but this is kind of my own thing to make the etching a color in a different style on a mirror. So I have never seen that before, but that's something that we kind of figured out and like to do. So if we're gonna go ahead and do an iPod here, he's gonna lay it in. So when I talk to my computer, I orient things with the top left-hand side of the bed. And the laser is gonna come down, it's gonna reflect off of a mirror. And there's like a money spot where the beam comes down. And so you have to raise or lower the bed in order to hit that right where it needs to be. So I'm gonna go up until the phone is right at the bottom of that triangle. Okay, and then I can go ahead and remove that piece. So if you are too far away or too close, it just looks like it burned out. I mean, and you can't light things on fire. I don't know, I'm not gonna admit that I've done that before, but yeah, I may or may not have ruined a few lenses. So, and there's a lot of care of the machine too. So there's a mirror in there and a lens. And the lenses, when you do burn them out, they're about $200 to replace. So you don't want to burn your lens. So you try to take care that things are right where they need to be. So,
just the controls?
Yep, these are the controls. So I send the job over through an Ethernet cable to the machine.
From a computer?
From my computer, yep. So, and you can see there's a couple different things that I use. This is the computer that's running the show, and then I use this Wacom screen. If I want to look and have more detail and things, then I can work with a bigger screen over here and use a pen tool, which is really handy. So
you can basically design anything on that.
yes. So we measured out where the cameras and stuff are on that iPod, and we're just going to put this name on the back of this iPod. So you have to be good at measuring things, and because that's also a fatal mistake that you can make, is putting things where they're not supposed to be.
So
not that I've done that either.
I saw Jade, he was measuring the actual exact dimensions of the iPod with a ruler, right?
Yep.
And then you put them in there so that the red box is the exact dimensions of the iPod.
Yep, so that was the dimension of the iPod. And then he gave me these measurements right here, and I had this right here because that's where the cameras are.
Oh.
And so I knew that the name needed to be below the cameras. And then I used some of these measures. There's an apple on the back of that phone, and so these little lines, he gave me the measurements, and I was able to move those so I know that I wasn't going to run into the Apple logo.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah. The program that it runs on is called CorelDRAW.
CorelDRAW.
Yep, it's the same. Like when I create logos and stuff, I use that same program. It's a good vector type program. So when we go to do this, it does create some smoke, and so there's a ventilation system, and it's going to make it a little louder in here, so you probably won't be able to hear me quite as well, and the machine makes some noises as well. So I just did a short little job. It tells me how long the job is. It's going to take 20 seconds to put that name on the back of that iPod.
Will I be filming and... okay.
And it doesn't hurt your eyes. This is a protective glass, so you can actually watch the laser without doing LASIK surgery on yourself.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so now we can lift this up and pull it out, and you can see where this aluminum was anodized, and it's
Feel it?
taken that. Yep, it's not hot.
It's just barely etched in there.
Yep.
Cool.
Now, you do always want to make sure the phone is turned off, because if someone calls while you're doing that,
It's
and it's
gonna-
on vibrate,
Yeah.
it's going to slide off and make a mess. So, yeah.
Cool.
That's
Okay.
great.
Graphic design.
The graphic design portion, I think, is equally as cool as running the laser. So if you're someone who's interested in graphic design, either illustrations or logos, any of that kind of stuff, just, maybe in advertising or marketing, this is a project that I've been working on. It's a logo for a pumpkin patch, okay? And some of the parameters were, they wanted the banner across the center with the name of the pumpkin patch, like in the middle banner. We've decided now that we're gonna make Silver and Valley both in the banner and just have Farm down here. But what you have is a bunch of layers when you go to do graphic design. And when you make a logo, it has to be something called a vector, because it has to be able to be sized. You have like JPEGs or bitmaps, and those are picture files. And you'll notice if you've tried to blow something up big, you'll get the little squares, and you can see what's called pixelation. So when you are doing logos, it has to be a vector image so that no matter how big or how small, you still get a really crisp, like nice image. Okay, so it makes it a little bit difficult, and because everything has to be a vector, so it takes a lot of time to design a logo that can be sized. So the cool thing about this is this logo is pretty much done, except for we're going to fix that banner, but each piece can be moved. Okay, so I can grab that tree, these rows behind it, and then of course you work with your computer too for some shortcuts. So say I didn't want to move that tree, I can just go Control Z and that will put those things back. So just learning your combination with your pen and your computer is really kind of a fun thing. But we know that we want this palette to be different. So whenever you have a logo, it needs to be able to be printed in black and white, you know, so you can do letterhead or, you know, different things that aren't color friendly. And then you need to have it, probably one that you would put up on a banner for advertisement would have color to it. So you can play with palettes and things. So I've got this group of bows selected, and so I may want to just change that color. That's ugly, I won't leave it that color. But, because this, again, some of the other parameters, we wanted the banner across the middle and then an old-fashioned look. So we're gonna go with an old-fashioned palette. So it's gonna be more of like a forest green, a brick red, and then your pumpkins and stuff are gonna be more of a burnt orange instead of a really bright orange. So that's kind of what we were going for with this logo. And this pumpkin patch is also a tree farm. So that's where you get the trees incorporated as well as the pumpkins. So like I said, you can select something and change the color with just, it is super easy to change the colors. You've got oodles of choices, and so this is just one palette up on the side, but I could go into a whole wheel and you could go all over the rainbow on your coloring. But back. See, and it's the mouse too. They all work together. Mouse, the keyboard, the pen, all of it. So you can change colors easily. You can move things easily. Like I can select, it's gonna turn everything colored, but those pumpkins, like we know that we're gonna want those to be some variation of orange. Oh. Maybe not. There we go. Now that's awful as well. So what I would do, this is just to show you, because I'm not taking time to break everything apart. But of course, when I'm gonna work on these pumpkins, I'm gonna bring them over and I'm gonna make them nice and big so that I can get that detail. And this is what I was meaning about the vector, is you can move them and you can size them. But when I'm working on this for real, I will come in, and these are a bunch of little pieces and they're in a group right now. So when I select this, I'm getting the whole group, but every single little piece is its own piece when I ungroup them. So all of the little pine cone and the boughs, I will individually color those so that you can get a good effect, and even some color variation so it looks like you have some shading and different things like that. So,
did you teach yourself this? Or did you learn in like college or?
No, self-taught.
Self-taught.
Yeah, we're self-taught. I think if you know, you kind of have to have the eye for things. So if you are creative or artistic, then it would lend really well to that. If you like technology, that also lends you to be good at something like this. I'm not saying I'm good, but people who are really good at it have those two components just as interests, I think, in general. So yeah, just having the interest was the first thing. And then it's been about, I would say 8 years. I've had the laser engraver for at least 6. And I've been messing with the logos and stuff for a couple more years than that. So lots of trial and error. because you'll know what you want to do or how you want it to look, and then your skill set has to catch up with that. Like, I know I want this bigger, I want that smaller, I want this cut. But there's some really cool tools when you're doing graphic design. So here I can take and I can make a box, and then say I want to make a circle here. And maybe I don't want all of those lines that are in there. So I can take a segment delete tool. And I can get rid of some of these lines. So this is when people are doing logos and stuff, that's how they get those shapes, is they'll combine things and then just take out what's not needed. And then those were obviously two separate shapes. So if I want to fill this in, I would select them both, and I would come up here to objects and I would join the curves. So I can join these curves real quick, maybe. Object. Okay, there it goes. So when you join the curves, you're making it into one piece. I want to say, hey, I want these guys to be one piece instead of several different pieces. And that way I can fill. If everything isn't joined up, you don't have a closed object, so you can't fill that object. So I'm going to just apply, and it's going to say gap tolerance. I'm giving it like a 0.14 of an inch gap tolerance. So if there was a little space, it would jump that space and join those curves. So I'm going to hit apply, and then you should be able to fill it. So now it's like a new shape of its own. So it's kind of cool, and you have a million little tools like that. And
probably the hardest thing is just learning and remembering the tools. Right?
Yeah.
So next time they say the online learning system is too complicated, you can say it's not as complicated as a graphic arts design system.
it could get worse. No, this is just something that's really fun that I enjoy doing. And so I wanted to share it with you guys because it may be something that you might want to look into as well in your futures.
So they could, if someone had, well, you have this, and you could draw up that logo, and then a black and white version, you could etch it onto just about anything, right?
Yeah, and I like what you said there about a black and white version. The laser engraver speaks in black and white. It doesn't speak in color. It doesn't speak in gray tones. It speaks in black and white. So wherever it's black, it's going to be rastered or marked up. And so another thing too, when you're talking to the laser engraver, is this stuff is going to be raster type stuff. That means it's just going to mark it. When you want the machine to cut, then you talk to it differently and you make the outline around it. I'm going to just unfill this real quick. Then I would go here and I would make this the outline. If I was going to cut this out, you make it hairline. Okay, and whenever I turn something hairline, I turn it red, because that gives me this is gonna cut. And I'm revealing all the mistakes that I've made, because you can have something and if you don't turn it red, and maybe you've turned it to hairline, and then pretty soon something is cutting and you were not expecting it to be cutting. And I've done that on leather. Like, I thought that line was just gonna be a raster, and bam, it cut it right out. So whenever I go hairline, I definitely turn it red. So if I sent this to the computer or to the laser, it would cut that shape out then. So that's how you get it to cut versus just rastering.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Pope.
You bet.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Thanks for coming and sharing part of my world.
Okay, bye.